From the outside looking in, Jon Gruden is rattling cages for a reason. The former coach's vocal endorsement of Shadur Sanders and his outright bid to replace Kevin Stefanski weren't impulsive shots. They were calculated criticisms of a team stuck in neutral. Gruden's track record gives his words weight, and when he says he'd fix the Browns by playing Sanders, it reframes the debate from speculative to strategic.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
As the Browns collapse against bottom-tier teams, Gruden's challenge has forced a national conversation about what's really holding the franchise back, and who might be better suited to lead it forward. When external voices start making more sense than the internal ones, change becomes inevitable. The Browns are running out of time and excuses, and every moment Sanders stays off the field adds pressure to a coaching staff already on the verge of unraveling. The Cleveland Browns are once again dominating headlines for all the wrong reasons. But this time it's not about a last-second loss or a cursed kicker. It's about something far more serious. A franchise-defining standoff between leadership, talent, and the crushing weight of wasted potential. And at the center of it all? Kevin Stefanski, Shadur Sanders, and Jon Gruden, who just dropped the loudest quote of the season by publicly offering to take Stefanski's job to get Sanders on the field. Let that sink in. A former Super Bowl-winning coach is so fed up with watching the Browns fumble opportunity after opportunity, he's openly saying, "Give me the headset. I'll fix this." And the worst part? He might not be wrong. This entire situation exploded after a loss to the Jets, a team widely considered the weakest in the league. A team so beatable that anything less than a double-digit win should have been seen as a red flag. Instead, the Browns folded. And Stefanski didn't just keep his job. He doubled down on the one decision that's been dragging this team down for weeks, sticking with Dillon Gabriel as the starting quarterback. No adjustments. No reflection. Just blind loyalty to a plan that's clearly unraveling in front of everyone's eyes. And now, the calls for change aren't just coming from fans in the stands or analysts on sports shows. They're coming from inside the NFL. Gruden's comments weren't some offhand remark. He specifically named Sanders as the key to turning the team around. He didn't hedge. He didn't hold back. He said the quiet part out loud. Sanders should be starting and the Browns are blowing it. The thing is, this isn't just about one quarterback decision. It's about a culture that refuses to evolve. A team that's paralyzed by the fear of change. Stefanski's refusal to give Sanders a shot isn't just costing them games. It's fracturing trust across every level of the franchise. Players, fans, media, everyone sees what's happening. And nobody can explain it. Sanders has done everything right. He's performed in preseason. He's earned praise from insiders for his work ethic, skill set, and leadership potential. He's demonstrated, repeatedly, that he's ready. And yet, he remains benched. Not because of anything he did wrong, but because Stefanski seems determined to go down with the ship he built. Even if it takes the whole franchise with him. Dillon Gabriel, to be clear, isn't the villain here. He's a young player thrown into a situation he clearly isn't prepared to manage. He's struggling not just under pressure from defenses, but under the weight of being the wrong choice at the wrong time. And that's on Stefanski. That's on the coaching staff that refuses to read the room and admit when something isn't working. And it's not working. That's undeniable. The Browns aren't just losing, they're unraveling. The play calling is stagnant. The energy is flat. The fan base, once cautiously optimistic, is now openly questioning whether this team has any vision moving forward. And what's Kevin Stefanski's answer? Stay the course. Stick with Gabriel. Keep Sanders benched. Pretend the noise doesn't matter. But it does matter. This isn't just another season. This isn't a rebuilding year. This is a critical inflection point where the Browns have real talent, a real shot, and a very real future if they can just stop tripping over themselves long enough to embrace it. But with every week Sanders sits, that future gets dimmer. The implications are bigger than just the win-loss column. This is the kind of decision that changes careers. That defines legacies. That breaks locker rooms. Sanders is no ordinary prospect. He's a potential franchise centerpiece. And the longer Cleveland keeps him on the sidelines, the more they risk alienating not just him, but everyone who's paying attention. The frustration isn't just external anymore. Analysts are openly questioning Stefanski's motivation. Some believe he's already mentally checked out, with rumors tying him to other jobs. If that's true, if he's more concerned with his next gig than this season, then why is he still making the decisions that could impact the Browns for years? Why is he the one dictating who plays and who doesn't? This is where things get dangerous. When you have a coach clinging to his job, not to build something but to survive the headlines, your entire franchise starts to rot from the top down. And that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland. Gruden's comments didn't create this chaos, they exposed it. He gave voice to the silent frustration that's been building for weeks. And in doing so, he made it impossible for the Browns to hide behind coach speak anymore. The fans deserve better. The players deserve better. And most of all, Sanders deserves better. This is someone who's ready to play. Someone who's shown he can handle the pressure, the spotlight, the challenge. And yet, because of one coach's fear of admitting he made the wrong call, Sanders remains locked out of the one opportunity he's earned. There's a deeper issue here. When does loyalty stop being an asset and start becoming a liability? The Browns are answering that question right now, and they're getting it wrong. It's not about dumping a struggling quarterback just for the optics. It's about making decisions that serve the team. It's about identifying your best chance to win and acting on it before it's too late. And let's be clear, it's almost too late. The Ravens are up next, and if Cleveland goes into that game with the same tired strategy, the outcome is already written. Another loss. Another press conference. Another round of "we believe in our process," while the rest of the league moves on. But it doesn't have to go that way. The Browns could still make the switch. They could still start Sanders. They could still inject this team with the fire it desperately needs. They could still give fans a reason to show up, to believe, to hope that this isn't just another wasted year in a long line of wasted years. But they have to act now. Not next month. Not after another loss. No. Otherwise, this won't just be a lost season. It'll be a defining one, for all the wrong reasons. So where do you stand on this? Should the Browns finally bench Gabriel and start Sanders before the damage is irreversible? Has Stefanski already lost the trust of the locker room and the fanbase? And is Jon Gruden's bold challenge the truth this franchise needed to hear? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you're over the excuses. Share if you've been screaming "start Sanders" from day one. And make sure you're subscribed, because if Cleveland doesn't wake up soon, the meltdown is only going to get louder, and a whole lot messier. At this point, it's beyond frustrating. It's exhausting. Watching the Cleveland Browns spiral while holding onto a fix they refuse to use is like watching someone drown next to a life raft, staring at it, fully aware it's there and still saying, "No, I've got this." And Shadur Sanders is that life raft. He's not just a promising quarterback. He's the quarterback. The one who's been quietly doing everything right, showing up, staying ready, practicing at a high level, while the coaching staff refuses to reward any of it. Meanwhile, the team loses to the Jets, of all teams, and somehow the person holding the clipboard takes the fall for absolutely none of it. The moment Stefanski walked back into the post-game media room after the Jets debacle and said there would be no changes, it became crystal clear. This isn't about winning anymore. It's about control. About optics. About pride. And that pride is choking the team from the inside out. Because what exactly is being protected here? Dillon Gabriel's confidence? Stefanski's system? The illusion of stability? At this point, there's nothing left to protect. The Browns are losing games, losing fans, and losing the respect of their own players. And yet, the one move that could change everything continues to be ignored. Let's be honest, this situation isn't complicated. You've got a quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, who's struggling with reads, timing, and pressure. That's not slander, it's what we've all seen on the field. You've got a team with a top-tier defense wasting away because the offense can't get anything going. You've got playmakers on the outside with nothing to work with. And you've got a fan base that's already walking into the stadium angry, knowing exactly how the game is going to end before kickoff even happens. Now enter Shadur Sanders. He's shown clear command in practice. He's outperformed expectations in preseason. He has the confidence, the mechanics, the decision-making, and the it factor. But instead of giving him a chance, the Browns are leaving him on ice for reasons that no longer make any football sense. The word coming from analysts and insiders? Stefanski is coaching for himself, not for the team. That changes everything. If he's really considering other coaching opportunities, and yes, multiple reports say he is, then what incentive does he have to risk his reputation by making a quarterback switch now? Especially one that might expose his original decision to start Gabriel as a mistake? It's not strategic. It's self-preserving. And in doing so, Stefanski's dragging the entire team down with him. And now, Jon Gruden enters the chat. Say what you want about Gruden, his approach, his past, the controversy surrounding him, none of that takes away from the truth bomb he just dropped. He went public. He didn't dance around it. He said that if he were coaching the Browns, Shadur Sanders would already be starting, and the team would be winning. Was it dramatic? Sure. But was it wrong? Not even close. Gruden tapped into what fans, players, and analysts have all been thinking. That Cleveland is wasting time. Wasting talent. Wasting a moment that they may not get again. And the fact that it took Gruden to say it out loud is proof enough that the people inside the building either don't get it, or don't care. The irony? Gruden's not wrong. Not about Sanders. Not about the situation. Not about the future the Browns are fumbling right in front of us. Because if you strip everything else away, the drama, the quotes, the politics, you're left with this. One quarterback is failing. The other hasn't been given a chance. And the coach refuses to adjust. That's not a strategy. That's a script. A painfully familiar one, where Cleveland watches yet another season fall apart because of poor leadership and paralyzing indecision. And the clock is ticking. The Ravens game is coming up fast. A team that will absolutely feast on predictable play calling and inconsistent quarterback play. And unless something drastic changes, we already know how that game's going to go. It's going to be another embarrassment. Another "we have to be better" post-game quote. Another week of fans asking how much longer they're expected to keep believing in a team that clearly doesn't believe in itself. And through it all, Shadur Sanders will still be on the sideline. How long is he supposed to wait? How long does a talented young quarterback with everything to offer have to sit quietly while the team around him burns? You think a player like that is going to stick around forever? Because he won't. And that's the real danger here. The Browns aren't just risking a couple more losses. They're risking the loss of Sanders entirely. You think he's going to sign up for another season of this? You think his camp isn't already watching this disaster unfold and quietly reevaluating whether Cleveland is the place to build a legacy? At some point, patience turns into passivity. And if the Browns don't act fast, they're going to find themselves not only without a playoff spot, but without a quarterback worth building around. And what about the locker room? There's only so long you can ask players to buy into a plan that clearly isn't working. When guys are giving their all and watching the same mistakes happen week after week with no adjustments, trust disappears. Culture erodes. Veterans start looking elsewhere. Young players check out mentally. And the team stops playing for the coach entirely. This is how seasons are lost. This is how rebuilds are born out of stubbornness. The truth is, this team doesn't need a rebuild. They just need a reset. And that reset starts under center. Start Shadur Sanders. Give the team someone to believe in. Give the fans something to root for. Give yourself the chance to actually compete in games instead of apologizing for them afterward. Because if the Browns don't make this move now, if they let another week go by without acknowledging reality, they're not just making a bad call. They're making the kind of mistake that defines franchises. The kind of mistake that doesn't just cost you games but years. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Cleveland Browns are spiraling. And they're doing it in the most avoidable way possible. This isn't a team ravaged by injuries or undone by bad luck. This is a team choosing to stay mediocre. Choosing comfort over correction. Choosing Kevin Stefanski's fragile grip on control over actual progress. And every week that Shadur Sanders stays on the bench, that choice becomes louder and more damning. No one is saying Sanders is a guaranteed savior. But at this point he doesn't need to be. He just needs to be better than this. Better than repeated 3-and-outs. Better than watching defenses carry the team while the offense plays like it's running drills in molasses. Better than the same post-game quotes about execution and cleaning things up after losing to the Jets, who, let's be honest, wouldn't scare a decent college program right now. This isn't development. This isn't coaching. It's self-sabotage wrapped in buzzwords. And yet, even with the entire football world watching, even after Jon Gruden lit the match publicly and challenged Stefanski's leadership, nothing changed. That's not just tone-deaf, it's negligent. Because when Gruden stepped in, it wasn't just to stir the pot. It was to call out what so many are too afraid to say. Cleveland is sitting on the most electric quarterback prospect they've had in years, and they're doing absolutely nothing with him. Gruden didn't need to say Stefanski should be fired. He went straight for the jugular. Give me the job and I'll fix this mess with Sanders. That's the kind of line that shakes up the entire league. It's not subtle. It's not couched in politeness. It's a direct shot at a coach who's now seen as someone standing in the way of the team's future, not leading it. And Stefanski's response? Silence. Business as usual. Like the walls aren't crumbling around him. The question has shifted. It's no longer, why isn't Sanders playing? It's, how long can this go on before something truly breaks? Because let's be real, Dillon Gabriel is in an impossible position. He didn't ask for this spotlight. He didn't ask to be Stefanski's hill to die on. But now, Every interception, every missed throw, every stalled drive gets magnified tenfold because the guy on the bench is Shadur Sanders. And everyone knows it. Fans are tired. Not just of losing, but of losing this way. Losing with zero innovation. Zero flexibility. Zero urgency. And worst of all, zero accountability. When your season is spiraling and the best answer your head coach can give is, "We're sticking with our guy," that's not leadership. That's fear. That's someone who knows the walls are closing in but refuses to admit it. Let's talk about the locker room, because this isn't happening in a vacuum. Players notice. They know who's shining in practice. They know when the better guy isn't being given a fair shot. And when that happens week after week, it chips away at morale. Guys start questioning the system. They start questioning leadership. And that doubt is contagious. You think veterans are going to keep buying in when they see wins slipping away and no one willing to make a change? You think young talent is going to develop in an environment where doing everything right still gets you sidelined? This is how you lose more than games. This is how you lose a team. And let's not pretend this ends cleanly, because it doesn't. If Sanders eventually gets his shot after the Browns have dropped another 2 or 3 games, it won't be a confidence switch, it'll be a last resort. A panic move. And by then, the opportunity to build momentum? Gone. The trust? Damage. The season? Already slipping away. It shouldn't have come to this. But Stefanski made it about him. About his decision. About preserving the illusion that he's in control, that he knows better. But the scoreboard disagrees. The fans disagree. The media disagrees. Jon Gruden loudly disagrees. And the only person left defending the plan is the one whose job is hanging by a thread. It's a strange hill to die on, refusing to start a quarterback who's shown real promise in favor of one who's consistently underperformed. But it tells you everything you need to know about where Stefanski's head is. He's not building anymore. He's surviving. And that mindset? It's poison for a football team. Coaches who coach to keep their jobs don't take risks. They don't adapt. They double down. And that's what we're seeing now, a head coach clinging to a broken script, while the rest of the league shakes its head in disbelief. You don't have to be a scout to see what's happening. It's plain as day. The Browns are playing scared. And the only guy in the building who isn't scared, Shadur Sanders, is being told to sit quietly while the team burns around him. And don't think this isn't affecting Sanders. He might be saying the right things in public, but he's watching all of this too. He knows what he's capable of. He knows what he's earned. And if he doesn't get that shot soon, why would he trust this franchise with his future? That's the risk no one's talking about enough. This isn't just about winning now. It's about whether Sanders even wants to be here long term. Because if you're telling a guy that talent, preparation, and results don't matter unless you're already in the coach's inner circle, don't be surprised when that guy starts planning his exit the minute his rookie contract ends. Cleveland's window isn't just closing. It's getting nailed shut from the inside. It didn't have to be this way. Stefanski had options. He had time. He had the perfect moment, after the Jets' loss, to say, "We need a spark. We're making a change." He could have framed it as competitive, as forward-thinking. He could have owned the moment and looked like a coach willing to make bold decisions in the name of winning. Instead, he's out here insisting everything's fine. That there's no need for panic. No need for panic? You just lost to the Jets. At home. While a top-tier quarterback prospect rides the bench in full uniform. If that's not panic-worthy, what is? So here we are. The Ravens are next. One of the most aggressive physical defenses in the league. And the Browns are walking into that game with the same formula that already failed against the Jets. If you're a Cleveland fan, you already know how this ends. And then what? Another week of Stefanski insisting he believes in the plan? Another week of cryptic pressers, sideline body language breakdowns, and half-hearted attempts to justify the unjustifiable? This team doesn't need belief. It needs action. It needs a shakeup. It needs leadership. And it needs it now. Because if Sanders doesn't start soon, this isn't just Stefanski's failure. It's the front office's too. It's ownership's. It's everyone who saw this meltdown coming and still said, "Let's give it one more week." That kind of indecision is a decision. And it's the kind that defines losing franchises. So let's ask the question one more time. Why is Shadur Sanders not starting? Not hypothetically. Not in the abstract. Right now. With the season on the line. With the fan base exhausted. With Jon Gruden calling it out. With the entire football world pointing to the obvious answer and asking why no one in Cleveland seems capable of pulling the trigger. The Browns have a choice. They can own the mistake, course correct, and give this team a chance. Or they can keep pretending everything's fine while the fire gets hotter. And if they choose the latter, don't be surprised when the fans stop showing up, when the players start checking out, and when Shadur Sanders decides he'd rather take his talent somewhere that actually knows how to use it. And here's what's most painful. This isn't just a blown opportunity, it's a warning sign for every player, coach, and fan who still dares to believe that the Cleveland Browns can be more than a punchline. Because what we're seeing isn't just poor decision-making. It's a full-blown refusal to evolve. Every week that passes with Shadur Sanders holding a clipboard while Dillon Gabriel struggles on the field is another week where the Browns actively choose dysfunction. They're not victims of circumstance. They're not short on talent. They're choosing this path. And now the damage is stacking up. You've got fans openly booing. Not because they hate the players, but because they see through the smokescreen. They see a franchise ignoring talent for pride. They see a head coach who's more interested in saving face than saving the season. And they see a star in the making treated like an afterthought in a league that doesn't wait for anyone. It's not just a quarterback controversy anymore, it's a crisis of direction. A battle between potential and politics. Between the future and a front office too paralyzed to act. Meanwhile, Jon Gruden's words still echo louder with each passing game. When a coach with his resume says he could fix this team if Sanders played, that should have been a wake-up call. Instead, it became another headline to ignore, another fire alarm getting silenced while the flames continue to rise. And here's the kicker, the Browns still have time. Not a lot, but enough. Enough to throw out the stale playbook. Enough to give Sanders the reps he deserves. Enough to restore a little faith. But only if they move now. Every day they hesitate is another nail in the coffin, not just for this season but for everything they've tried to build. So the question becomes, who are the Browns? Are they a team clinging to safe decisions or one bold enough to bet on raw, proven talent? Are they content writing the same broken script into another losing record, or ready to hand the reins to the quarterback they've been wasting on the sideline? Because fans aren't stupid. They know Shadur Sanders isn't just ready. He's necessary. He's the breath of fresh air, the momentum shift, the one piece that could turn this entire mess around, if only the people in charge would let it happen. So what's it going to be, Cleveland? Stick with fear, or play to win? Drop your thoughts below. Is it finally time for the Browns to wake up and unleash Sanders? Is Stefanski too far gone to fix this? And if nothing changes, do you see Sanders sticking around? Like if you've had enough of the excuses. Share if you're ready for a change under center. And hit subscribe. We'll be here every step of the way because if the Browns won't tell the truth, you know we will.